The Chicago White Sox let one slip away. They lost to the Los Angeles Angels 4-3 on Monday night. It feels like what can go wrong will go wrong for this White Sox team. More sloppy defense and base running mistakes spoil an outstanding outing by Lucas Giolito. Don't worry, folks, though. There's only a little over 3 more months left of the season.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use code LOCKEDON at checkout. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. I really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The White Sox just can't give teams extra outs, and they can't beat themselves. However, it happened again on Monday. Gavin Sheets is not a right fielder, but he'll continue to pose as one this season. But first, Giolito returned to form. However, it goes down as another White Sox loss. State of the Sox, they are 34-38, 6.5 games back in the AL Central. This Monday loss, folks, you watched it, I'm sure. You are consuming all of the Sox information now. If you weren't able to stay up, it was a late West Coast game. Understandable. This was a winnable game for our White Sox. A disappointing loss, a real gut punch. The Sox had it in their grasp, especially after battling Syndergaard, who was really sharp on Monday night. This was a tough loss for our White Sox team. This is the type of loss that a team like the Sox that are trying to get back up to 500, they can't afford any setbacks in the division. And now 6.5 games back in the AL Central. I know we've got a lot of games left against the AL Central, but still 6.5 games, it doesn't sit well here Tuesday morning. We're going to start with Giolito. He was great, and I'm tired of talking about moral victories and silver linings, but this was a great outing from Giolito. On the hill after several rough starts. You had Zavala catching. There was no Leary Garcia in the lineup at first. And just remind you of a quote that Giolito had. I talked about this in the previous Locked On Sox episode, but let's set the stage here. This was Giolito talking about his loss against Toronto the last time he pitched. He said, "I know that when I'm right, I am a good pitcher, a good starting pitcher who can go deep, strike guys out. So I know that. It's just a matter of making it happen, making the adjustments that are necessary. It's been frustrating. I want to give the team a chance to win when I take the ball. I have not been doing that, and so that's pretty much it. I've got to figure it out." Well, Giolito, he figured it out. It was a little dicey. There were a lot of base runners at the beginning. First inning, right off the bat, Ward for the Angels leads off with a single, ends up scoring after a ball. Ends up getting a second after a ball got away from Zavala, which canceled out any double play option there. Ohtani up with one out and Ward at second. Giolito was staying away from Ohtani, keeping him off balance with the changeup, and struck him out on a changeup away and out of the zone. Got McKinnon to pop out to Abreu. Only 16 pitches and thankfully 0 home runs given up by Giolito in the first. Second inning, Walsh leads off with a hit. That was a bit of a theme early on. Giolito allowing the leadoff hitter to get on. Got a couple of flyouts. Then Sheets, this is where things got really interesting. Gavin Sheets tried to track down a fly ball in right field. It looked like he had a beat on it, and it pops out of his glove, bounces off the wall. It was originally called a home run, but was reversed as a triple. It really should have been an error. I don't understand how they gave that, ruled that as a triple and not an error. It was quickly 1-0 Angels, and the hits just kept on coming. Angels knocked one off of Giolito. It sprayed into short outfield, 2-0 Angels. All of this nonsense with 2 outs. Sheets making Giolito throw more pitches. He threw 37 pitches after 2 innings. We're going to talk more about the Gavin Sheets situation because that was really unfortunate. And that second inning was really the only blip on a otherwise stellar night from Giolito. Third inning, Lucas strikes out Trout on a great changeup. First time he canceled out the leadoff hitter. Ohtani with a laser beam to right field. Angels had 2 on with 1 out. The plate was starting to jump around for Giolito at this point in the third, but he got a huge double play. Sosa with a spin at second base, transfer to Tim Anderson, who throws to Abreu, who was able to catch that end of the threat. Fourth inning, Giolito allowed the leadoff hitter again on 3 times in 4 innings. Allowed some action on the base paths, but no damage was done. 70 pitches after 4 innings for Giolito. In the fifth, this is where it got a little interesting, potentially. We know about the third time around for Giolito. When he faces hitters for the third time in a game, they tend to get the best of him. So to start off the 5th inning, Giolito had to face the top of the order, and it's the start of his third time through the lineup. That has been a problem as of late. But Tim Anderson with a great play at short to get the first out. Big strikeout of Mike Trout again for out number 2, and gets Ohtani to strike out to end the inning. So it was 3 up, 3 down. That was a great sign for Giolito, and it should have been a confidence builder moving forward. And it really was. It was the 6th inning. Offensively, the White Sox just tied it up in their half of the inning. So you're thinking, got to have a quick inning. Let's get the bats, to get them back to work. And Giolito did exactly that. It was a quick 1-2-3 inning, building on the confidence created in the previous inning, brick by brick. He is not going to erase all of those bad outings that he has had this year, in one inning. It's not even going to happen in one game or one outing. This was a great outing for Giolito on Monday night, but it happens by, building it brick by brick. Good inning, good approach against Trout, or a good at bat against, a good Ohtani outing. It started to snowball a little bit for him as the game went on longer. And that was really it for Giolito. Sox took the lead in the top of the 7th. So they gave him that kind of good feeling, ending on a high note. He went 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, 0 home runs, which is huge. In some of these rough outings for Giolito, he's been giving up home runs, 2, 3, definitely early in the game too. So 0 home runs and only 1 walk. Giolito's got his ERA at 5.19. He threw 90 pitches. The White Sox went with Lopez in the 7th. Dreaded leadoff walk, then a base hit. 2 on, nobody out. Sack bunt, runners advance. Ward with a shot to right center. Robert had to make up some ground here for sure. He had to come a long way to get this, and it looked like he might have jumped a little too early for it. He crashed into the wall, Angels score 2. It was 4-3 Los Angeles. Lopez strikes out Mike Trout, his third strikeout of the game. Angels with a double steal. Sebi with a great throw to third, but Harrison can't hold on to the ball. Thankfully, damage was just limited to those two big runs. In the eighth, Lambert comes into the game, fielded his position really well, allowed some actions on the base paths, but kept it a one-run game. Sox had some timely offense. Boy, they really did. And it happened a little later in the game. They finally got to Syndergaard, but some unfortunate base running. We're going to talk about more on that in a moment. At BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece, all at prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that will let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft your perfect engagement ring. Each ring is one of a kind. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their "How did you hear about us" box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. All right, let's talk about that White Sox offense. Noah Syndergaard on the hill for the Los Angeles Angels, and he was sharp early on. First inning, Sox go very quietly in order. Easy inning for Syndergaard. Strikeout and a couple of immediate groundouts to third. You got an impression early that the game plan for White Sox hitters was to jump all over Syndergaard. Don't let Syndergaard get deep into a count. Swing at the first pitch you see, even if it's not a strike. A second inning, Abreu did not waste any time. He flew out to left field. Pollock quickly struck out. Sheets popped up lazily to third. Syndergaard at 14 pitches after 2 innings. And that definitely cemented the idea after the second. You know what? I think they are just going to be swinging at anything. Hopefully the Sox will start taking some pitches. Maybe it happened in the third. Zavala was able to actually take the first pitch, but ultimately struck out. Harrison struck out. Sosa grounded out. 9 up, 9 down for Syndergaard with 4 strikeouts after 3. He was in control. That is why it was so painful when the Sox finally got to him. We'll get to that in just a moment here. Fourth inning, Tim Anderson breaks up the no-hitter. Perfect game, all that stuff. Leads off the fourth with a base hit up the middle. Then he stole second. It was the 100th career stolen base. Love seeing that. Looks like the legs are feeling good for Tim Anderson. Sox have a man on second, nobody out. Vaughn struck out. Tim Anderson steals third during Roberts' at-bat. Infield's brought in, but Robert flies out to center. No chance for Tim Anderson to tag. Abreu strands Anderson when he flies out to right field. Great again to see Anderson moving those legs. He had a couple of defensive plays where he was challenged a bit. That's awesome to see that he is running. We need that. We need the speed. Fifth inning, Sheets with a one-out double shoots it into the right center gap, and this is why he'll continually play out there in right field. He's a lefty, and he will display the power on occasion. That's just how it is. Especially with the matchups that La Russa likes to run. Sox had only 2 hits after 5 innings. It did not look good for our White Sox at all. 6th inning, things got interesting, though. With 1 out in the 6th, Syndergaard had thrown 56 pitches. 40 of them were strikes. Anderson drew a walk. Andrew Vaughn with a double down the left field line. Tim Anderson scores from first. Again, legs must be feeling good. 2-1 Los Angeles. Robert crushed a ball to left center, but Marsh closed the gap and tracked it down. Really thought that one was going to find the gap. And here's some 2-out offense. Abreu destroys a pitch for a double to left field, 111 miles per hour off the bat. That scored Andrew Vaughn. It was 2-2. 7th inning, Gavin Sheets leads off with a single. Zavala with a sacrifice bunt. Syndergaard can't field it, so the Sox have 2 on with nobody out. Harrison's up with a single on the first pitch. It was a line drive over the shortstop's head, and Sheets comes around to score, making it 3-2 Sox. But in that development, Sebi gets a little too aggressive. Rounds second is too far off the base. The ball was cut, thrown to second. He's tagged out at second to make the first out. You just felt like the air, the wind, everything out of the sails during that moment, because the Sox could have had men on runners at second and first with nobody out. Who knows? Maybe another sacrifice attempt, try to scratch another run. But the Sox go down quietly after that and leave it at a 3-2 lead. It was just don't make the out there. What are you doing? Where are you going? Those types of things that the Sox just can't do. They can't beat themselves. And it happened, and it ended up being extremely costly. 8th inning, Sox, they saw their lead erased. We talked about it previously. They went down in order, and it's got to be an absolutely deflating feeling for an offense to fight to get the lead against a tough pitcher, and then poof, it's gone. Very, very frustrating. You just felt, in a way, as a fan watching this, I'm sure you felt it watching at home. Okay, we got to Syndergaard. All right, maybe things are going to change our way. And it just went crumbling in the opposite direction. 9th inning, Abreu took one to the warning track in deep center field. Pollock strikes out. It's up to Leury Garcia. Berger could have been brought in to pinch hit. He was available, but, La Russa loves those matchups. And with a righty on the hill, he kept Garcia in to hit lefty. And it was a ground out, game over. Sox offensive line, 3 runs, 6 hits, 3 extra base hits, just 3 doubles, only drew 1 walk, struck out 8 times, and were 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. The West continues to haunt the White Sox, especially California. Can Johnny Cueto solve the mystery? Going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including, of course, Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, watched a little bit of the post game just to see what Chuck and Gordon had to say on NBC Sports Chicago. And sure enough, it was what we were all talking about early in the game, the Gavin Sheets play right off the bat. I love Chuck Garfien at times, and this was one of those because he flat out just says Gavin Sheets is not a right fielder. And then he kind of had to retrace his steps a little bit, but he was correct in that initial statement. Gavin Sheets is not a right fielder. The fact that he continually gets put out there is just an embarrassment. It is the failure of the front office, Rick Hahn, this offseason to not figure that out or figure out, an out. If they want if they want the power lefty bat, which the Sox, man, they love the organization loves the lefty power bat, an outfielder, a corner outfielder. Well, they didn't figure that out. And you're trying to force Gavin Sheets to be an outfielder because you want his bat. And it's just not going well defensively. However, what he did on Sunday, big 2-run home run, had 2 hits Monday night in loss against the Angels. That's why he's going to continually get pushed out there. And the Sox, clearly, they could care less about defense. They're trying to get the offense going. Sebi Zavala with that base running mistake, focused on that a lot in the post game. Again, when the Sox are scuffling the way they are, and they need to string some wins together. Again, they didn't score a ton of runs, but that could have been a bigger inning. You don't know what could have happened, but with 2 on, nobody out, they just can't beat themselves like that. They can't give extra outs with plays like Sheets, what Sheets did in right field, and they can't run themselves out of an inning with what Zavala did. You can't do that when you're trying to get back up to 500 and you're chasing a Minnesota team that continues to stay hot. Every game, every play, everything matters. So the Sox try to change their luck out west against the Angels, sending Johnny Cueto to the hill. His last outing was that series opener against the Orioles. He didn't pitch bad at all. It was Cody Rutschman who, beat him. And, what are you going to say? You kind of just had to tip your hat to him. Sox gave Cueto 0 offense. Hopefully that script changes. Sox need to get on some winning ways desperately. Thank you for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. You could find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up on the next episode, I'll recap Johnny Cueto's outing against the Angels, hopefully be celebrating a White Sox winner. Appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski, and until next time, go Sox.